Hi, I'm Constable Kyle Zachary. We're back indoors this week. Welcome back to Just the Facts. Our first question this week comes from a viewer who wants to know, how do the peacekeepers handle traffic during the rush hour times? Well, the traffic situation in Kahnawake is a bit unique because we have 4 major roadways that intersect through our territory and bring a lot of outside traffic through the territory as they commute over to Montreal during the morning rush hour. So Highway 132, Highway 138, Route 207, and the Old Chateauguay Road. So in a single day, over 100,000 vehicles pass through the territory on these roads. Your average peacekeeper team consists of 3 to 5 peacekeepers. Each officer is assigned a zone when they come in for their shift. Zone A, Zone B, Zone C. When an officer is stationed at the boundary on the Old Chateauguay Road, their duties are to limit non-local traffic coming through the territory. We do allow non-local traffic to come through the Old Chateauguay Road if this person works in the territory and needs to get to their job on time. They're issued a permit from the Public Safety Office, and they'll use that permit and they'll show the officer who's positioned at the boundary, and the officer will say, "Have a good day." When an officer is positioned at the 207 boundary, their job is to basically be a walking, talking traffic light, because there is a large amount of traffic that comes through Route 207, and if we aren't there to regulate, there will be a large backup. There will be mass hysteria. An officer positioned on the Route 207 for their traffic duty will use their PC as a roadblock, and they'll allow intervals of cars to come through. Sometimes it's 50 cars at a time, and then they shut the road for 2-3 minutes and then allow another 50 to come through. This is done to limit the sheer volume of traffic on the road. Now, an officer who is positioned on Highway 138 works in concert with the officer positioned on Route 207. They monitor the up ramp from 207 to 138. They also monitor the bus lanes. So if they notice a backup on the Route 207 up ramp, what they'll do is they'll use their PC and they'll move over into the right-hand lane of Highway 138, and they'll funnel the traffic into the left-hand lane, allowing the traffic from the 207 up ramp to safely merge onto the 138. And final question this week comes to us from a viewer who wants to know, what happens during an impaired driving call? Well, that's a bit of a tricky question because every impaired file is different. There are certain things that have to happen that an officer has to do during an impaired file, and I'll tell you about that gladly. An impaired driving file starts when an officer observes driving habits, or there is a call received reporting an impaired driver. Once an officer has observed a vehicle's driving habits long enough, he's then able to move forward with an interception to check the sobriety of the driver. Once the stop is initiated, once the vehicle is intercepted safely, an officer will make contact with the driver. They're looking for reasonable, probable grounds to believe that this person is impaired by alcohol or another substance. In the case of alcohol, peacekeepers use what's called, actually it's right here, this is an AlcoSensor FST. It's a screening device. So the way it works is you have a mouthpiece, just like this. I'm not gonna open this one because these things are expensive. Proceed to blow using the mouthpiece, and then the AlcoSensor will do its internal calculations. It will then give you one of 3 results: pass, caution, fail. So if you pass, you can go on your way. If there's a caution, you're on the borderline. You probably shouldn't be driving. They'll impound your vehicle for the night for safekeeping, or have you call a friend, call a family member to come and take possession of your vehicle and to get you home safely. And then a fail is you're over the prescribed legal limit and you'll be placed under arrest. This is the room in the Kahnawake Peacekeeper Station that really nobody wants to see. This is the prisoner booking area. So when a person is placed under arrest, they are brought to this room first. So this instrument is the Datamaster DMTC, and it's used by a qualified technician to determine the level of blood alcohol content in a subject. Basically, the way it works, this thing right here is a breath tube. So on the end of the breath tube, you put a small mouthpiece, The subject will blow into the mouthpiece. The breath sample travels along the tube into the sample chamber within the instrument. The instrument does its internal calculations. The instrument will then give you your results in the form of a graph. The graph will indicate the amount of alcohol in milligrams over 100 milliliters of blood. The subject then returns to the bench to have a 15-minute observation period, and then a second test proceeds. If it's needed, a third observation period and a third breath sample can be collected as well. After the paperwork's completed, now the subject can be released, depending on the circumstances surrounding the file. Sometimes it happens that an impaired suspect has to be held to appear before a judge. The whole process from the initial traffic stop to the testing and releasing of the subject could take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. The end of another episode of Just the Facts is upon us, but worry not, we'll be back next week. Just keep submitting your questions, and we'll get you your answers. Until next time, stay safe, Kahnawake. Nyawagoa.